It's so good to have Rob on. How you doing today, Rob?
I'm fantastic. Thanks for having me. Glad to be
Good
here.
to have you on. Glad to have this conversation, especially with all this going on in our world with health. And so this will be a fabulous talk for my audience who always wants to be healthier so they can be around for their kids and their grandkids. So
Yeah, I mean that's literally one of the most important things we can do, other than having a relationship with our
a
Father,
Heavenly
right?
Father. Yeah,
Take care
exactly.
take care of that temple that he gave us, right? So
Exactly.
excited to chat.
So I love to ask my guests this question. So what's the best piece of advice you've ever received?
Gosh, that I've thought about that question, and the best advice I have to start with my faith advice, right? Which is having a relationship with Christ. I think that's the foundation. That's the most important thing that people can do. So it was a combination of people. It wasn't just one person who said, "Geez, you need to have a relationship with Christ." For me, it was a process. I grew up as a Episcopalian, growing up, so I went to church, and we would go on, we were more probably Creasters, right? We'd go on Christmas and Easter, and and wasn't that really important to me, but I at least had a foundation. And then just certain events in my life, I realized that I needed to have a relationship with Christ. My mom was wonderful; she was a God-fearing woman, but I really just still didn't understand it as a youth. But I think now, as I look back on my life, I think that is probably, that is the most important advice that I could ever give somebody, is to figure out a way to have a conversation and relationship with Jesus Christ. Right? That's that the foundation, I think, is just super poor or super important to us. And then just from a everyday living perspective, this is funny, but my brother, who's my mentor, he's about 4 years older than I was. The best advice that he gave me, that has really transformed the rest of my life, and it was something very simple, but it was right before I went into ninth grade. He set me down, and I wasn't that great of a student. I wasn't bad, I just wasn't great. And he said, "You know what? I just went through this process. I'm getting into college. This is the most important thing you can do from here on out, is what you do counts." And I was like, "What do you mean it counts?" And he's like, "From ninth grade on, everything that you score in school literally comes back to reflect on what you do." And so, man, was that true. I ended up, getting straight A's all the way through ninth grade through high school. I got one B in my 4 years of that. But what that did for me wasn't just, that schooling, but it made me start thinking forward, right? Thinking about how do I plan for the future, and the things that I do today have a dramatic impact on me in the future. And so ever since that period, I've always been really good at looking at, okay, not only is this going to have a ramification for me now, but it's going to have a ramification for me in the future. So there you go. I don't know if that's my answer to that. That's a very long-winded answer to that question.
Oh, I wish someone told me that when I was in ninth grade, because I didn't figure it out till I was in 11th grade. I'm like, oh, the first 2 years actually counted.
Yeah, I mean that's exactly what he had the hindsight, right, of just going through that period. And he's like, "Man, I wish I would have done that." So he did me the huge favor of saying, "Geez, guess what? From what you do from here on out matters." And I was young. I was in eighth grade. I didn't care, you know. But thank goodness I listened to him, and I was able to get in. I ended up getting a running scholarship into college, so it wasn't that important, but still having a good solid background education has always been important.
Yeah, exactly. And your first comment made me think of when I'm a pastor. And so we always had
Right.
a joke about those people came on Christmas and Easter. We said people
Yeah.
usually came 3 times to church when they were hatched, matched, and dispatched. So, you know,
I like that one. I like that one. So true,
yeah,
right?
so
So
made me think
true.
about that.
Uh,
So you
uh,
kind of mentioned one person, but think about in your life, who were other people in your life who inspired you?
Gosh, lots of people, right? I had lots of inspiration. My goal in life as a young runner, as a young person, was to be a professional runner. And so I ended up being, well, it was through my mother and brother that got me into running. The start of my running story is my brother was running. He was 4 years older, like I mentioned. I think I was 9, maybe 10, and he was running a 10K over the weekend, one of those fun runs that they do. And I was there with my mom because I had to tag along and just to watch. And I saw this other little boy that was my age running around with a singlet on and his little shorts and his running shoes, and I'm just like, hey, wow, that looks interesting. And I looked at my mom. I said, can I run this? And she's like, you want to run a 10K? And I was like, well, look, if he can do it, I probably can. And so I ended up running that 10K, and I beat that little boy and I was in normal tennis shoes and jeans, and this little boy was obviously had done it before, and so that was kind of an inspiration to me that, hey, maybe I'm actually uh, good at this. And my brother helped me, and I ended up becoming a really solid youth runner, and won nationals when I was in ninth grade. So I was the best cross country runner in the country as a ninth grader, and did really well in high school. Ended up getting a full ride running scholarship to Division I school. Man, I was like, okay, I'm gonna go to the Olympics, and then I want to be a professional runner ongoing. So I think the answer to that question is the 5 runners at BYU who had become professionals at running, because that was my big goal, right? Is I want to be like them. And so those 5 runners were actually effective after college, which was super important to me, because I didn't want to be just really good in college. I wanted to be better after college. And so following their steps was really important to me. So I ended up going to that school, getting into a full ride running scholarship, and did really well. At the first year I was there, I made the U.S. junior team, which is 19 years and younger. So I was the second best miler in the country as a 19-year-old, and was made an international tour. Went on that international tour and won. Beat the gentleman who'd beat me at nationals, and then beat all the other runners from 6 different countries. It was like China and Canada and Australia and a bunch of different countries, and I won that race. I'm like, man, this is exciting. I'm on my way. And then God had different plans for me. That next winter is when I had my big aha moment where I got hit by a truck. I was out running, on my training. It was a 10-mile run, and it was in the winter in Utah, and my friend was running with me, and I had a hat on, and it was all cold, and had a bloody nose earlier in the run. I'm like, geez, maybe we should turn back. And he and I both decided, no, we got to get our training run in for the day. So we went ahead and finished so we didn't finish. We were doing our run, and about a few miles into the run, my friend jumped into the ditch and yelled my name, and I had enough time to turn around and just see it coming, and it couldn't move. I just said, I'm gonna get hit, and this 4x4 truck came and hit me, and then in the hip, and broke my hip in multiple places, and threw me 36 feet. So which is a really long ways, and I landed right on my face, and so my face hit the ground and split my face open, and broke my kneecap because it hit second, and then I was lying on the ground unconscious and bleeding just all over the road. And the bloody nose that I'd had earlier in that run clogged my throat, and so I literally was lying in the side of the road, bloody, freezing, and couldn't breathe. It's not a good not a good combination.
No, not a good combination.
And if it wasn't for my friend who knew that I had that bloody nose, he came up to me and was assessing me. He's like, "What? The only thing I could do is squeeze his hand. That's the thing that he literally is like, "Are you there? Are you there? Can you hear me?" And I could just barely squeeze his hand. So he's like, "Okay." So he's cognitively there. Then he started checking my body. He could tell I wasn't breathing. So he did the life-saving thing of unclogging my throat.
Wow.
with his finger, right? So it was like, if he hadn't have done that, I would have died on the side of the road. So I think God had a plan, or God has a plan for me. That was my big understanding from that accident was, I'm here for a reason. I should be in heaven now, but God put him at my side and was able to save me that day. So ever since then, I knew I had a reason to be here. I just didn't know what it was. Right. So that was really impactful time in my life was that. And then I went into a really deep kind of depression for a number of years because I lost my passion in life, right? I couldn't be that runner that I'd always wanted to be. And so I couldn't figure out what I was going to do and how I was going to do it. And I was a young husband. I'd gotten married recently. And so I ended up, finishing my schooling and working full time. But that period of time was really, really difficult for me. It's like I really understand people with depression and would have difficulties with issues, and that really also woke me up to the opioid epidemic. Was since I was in so much pain, the recovery process was really difficult, and I was lucky to not be on a lot of opioids because of my brother again. So here, he keeps coming up as that. That's why I call him my mentor, because he's always been there for me. But two of his friends had recently passed away from opioids. So they'd committed suicide for because they could not get off of those pain medications. And so I at least had the luxury of, wouldn't really say it's a luxury, but I had the understanding of how dangerous those medications are. So I made sure I didn't take any opioids during my recovery process. So that was a blessing, because I never did get addicted to pain medications. But now with what I do for a living, pain is a super important part of, and pain management is a super important part of what I do, because I understand it so well, right? I was there and I lived it, and I had lived the recovery process. And so now at least I can empathize with people, and I understand it, and I'm trying to help people. So sorry for the long-winded answers. I can just keep going.
No, the story was good because it kind of gets us to the next part of your story. So how did you get from being in that pain to what you're doing now, helping people understand how they manage pain, and not just pain, but their health in general? Because big pharma has really had a huge impact on our life and our society.
Oh
I
my
think I
God.
read somewhere that America is the only country that allows pharmaceutical drugs to advertise on TV.
Right, right. I mean, yeah, it's so important for us to talk about, because that's really what happened. Is I feel like I got hit by a second truck in life. So not only did I get hit by the first one, right, which was a real truck, but I got hit by the same truck everybody else got hit by. You got hit by. Everybody basically in the world got hit by, which is the pandemic, right, or pandemic, or whatever you want to call it. But it was just that the thing that happened to our world was catastrophic, right? And I ended up losing my job, and I think this is where God had this plan for my life, is that's when I started waking up to this problem of our health system, big pharma, and how they're controlling what is going on in our world. Was I just started doing research. I'm like, okay, so I don't have my job anymore. What am I going to do? How am I going to do it? So I just started researching. And one of the things I ended up finding out was how controlled our information was. That really made me mad. It actually pissed me off, to be honest. I don't mean to be rude, but it really made me mad at the deepest core of my being, because I thought, man, we're in the United States of America. Like I mentioned, I wanted to be a runner for the United States of America and compete for the United States. And I competed for our country as a youth athlete, right? I wanted to do it. I love our country. I think we have an amazing country. So I have a patriotic spirit inside me. But what really I uncovered was just disheartening. It was like, man, our information is really controlled, and that just blew me away that that's possible. I'm like, only when I grew up, I was thinking, North Korea, right? They get all the propaganda, and the poor people that live in North Korea, they don't know anything that's going on because all the information is fed to them. Little, unbeknownst to me, the United States of America is just as bad or worse. And it's like, wow, when I really uncovered that our information is being controlled, and it's being controlled by a core set of people, that really started frustrating me. And then I started digging into the medical area and how controlled, how much money big pharma uses, and how much they make, and how they control information about what's going on about our health. And so I did research on the early 1900s of the takeover of the Rockefellers, of the takeover of the medical system, is what I call it. They ended up creating a report. They had a report created called the Flexner Report. And the Flexner Report in and of itself wasn't necessarily incorrect, but the way they used it was, in my opinion, bad, in the respect that they used that Flexner Report to just change our medical system. And they ended up creating this medical system that the only way that you could be part of the new medical system was to go through the medical training that the Rockefellers and the funding. And if you weren't part of that process, you were vilified. And so back then, 50% of our health practitioners were holistic practitioners. They're people who are helping us with, God gave us, first of all, all right, God gave us an amazing body. He gave us an amazing system that is very, very complex, and it can heal itself, right? So just start from there as a basis, and then you start looking at how you can help yourself. One story I didn't mention when I was a youth that's important to the story now is that I read this book called Eat to Win. And that really helped me as a youth athlete, because what I put in my body and in my mouth actually fed and fueled my body. So it didn't just feed me, it fueled my body, and it helped me become a better distance runner, because I could have energy at the time when I needed it, right? When everybody else was crashing and tired at the end of a race, I had the fuel, I had the energy to do that next step. And that was all just because of what I ate, right? It's like, wow, how crazy and interesting is that? And if you don't think about that and plan for that, then you don't have that fuel. And that, so anyway, I had this foundation of health and nutrition as being super important, and how God made this amazing, wonderful body. And my gosh, what has transitioned. So going back to that story of the holistic practitioners, 50% of them were holistic, where they looked at your body as a whole. They helped you with nutrition. They helped you with all modalities of health, and they looked at everything, right? So you'd go in with a problem, and they'd say, okay, well, what's maybe the cause of that? Let's get to the core of the problem. Let's fix the core, and that's going to fix the problem. And unfortunately, with the medical system as it is, has transitioned to today, it's so specialized. And I also love our doctors and nurses and people in the medical field. It's not their fault. There's some great people, and they're really helping people. But at the same point, if you sit back and look at the holistic practitioners today, there's like 0.01% of them are holistic practitioners, because they vilified everybody that was doing that back then. And that, you've heard of the term quack before,
Yes.
right? So guess where that term came from? It came from back then, when they were vilifying the holistic practitioners. If you didn't follow the protocols and the health system that they had put together, then you were termed a quack. And so if you were a chiropractor or you were holistic practitioners, they would literally vilify those people, and then no one would go to them, because they were termed a quack. And they did literally lawfare back then in the early 1900s, where they would sue these people for trying to help people holistically. It was just really, really bad. So they de-incentivized anybody to be a health practitioner doing things holistically. And the only way you could get a job and and provide for your family was to go through their system. And their system only taught people to help people with pharmaceutical based medication, right? So That's unfortunately what started the beginning of our what we call, everybody calls big pharma today, started way back then. And now it's such a huge monster that they control a big part of our world. It's incredible how much they control. So we as human beings need to start looking and doing research for ourselves and trying to help the human being at the core, right? Let's look at ourselves and see what we can do to internally start helping our bodies be healthy, and then what is the core of the problem, the source of the problem. Now, with the internet, it's really hard to censor all information, but they do censor it, but you can still find it. So there are places you can go to find really good information about holistic practices and natural practices, and that's kind of my goal in life now, is to really help people relieve, get healthy. And one of the biggest problems that we've uncovered is this pain, right? Chronic pain is the like 50% of our seniors have chronic pain. It's just really sad. And that chronic pain comes from a lot of different reasons, but that's kind of my goal in life now, is to just get the information out there that chronic pain can be overcome. And I want to help people do that, right? And along that path, when I was doing the research, is when I was uncovered this technology called quantum energy. And at first I was like, quantum what? What is this quantum energy thing? And one of the reasons, after to go back to my story, when I was doing all the research on the medical system, I thought I had this big idea, like, okay, I'm going to go create some all natural supplements, and I'm going to help people with these supplements that are going to help their health. And as I was doing that research, that's when I uncovered this quantum energy technology. And that quantum energy technology is amazing because it's 100% all natural, and it just utilizes frequencies. So if you look at frequencies, now that I understand it, it's not weird to me. When I first heard the term, I'm like, that sounds strange. A frequency is like, what's a frequency? So I've done all this research for the last 2 years on what our frequency, how is our body made, right? Our body is made up of energy. God made us an incredible body, like we talked about, and it interacts with itself at the core, even down to the cellular level. It interacts with the other cells with frequencies. And so I'm like, okay, so let me understand frequencies better. And guess what? Frequencies are everywhere, right? The cell phone you use, the radio that you listen to, the sound, or the sound we hear, the light the colors we see, it's all frequency. And so then you realize, okay, frequencies aren't weird, they're around us everywhere. And then you understand that your body is made up of energy and it interacts with frequencies. Then then I did some research on have you ever heard of Dr. Emoto?
Oh, I haven't.
Dr. Emoto, I want you to do a Google search when you have a few minutes. Just do a Google search on Dr. Emoto, Emoto, and his water experiments and his rice experiments. I actually have a copy of his book here. It's called The Hidden Messages in Water. And see that beautiful crystal there?
Yeah.
He's done a ton of experiments. He's passed away since, but he did a ton of experiments on how physical intentions and thoughts and even prayers have a physical impact on water. And you're like, what? How is that possible? So then you start realizing that the words that you say and the intentions that you have literally have a physical impact on that. And guess what? Those words have a frequency. Your intentions have a frequency. So then you're like, okay, wow, this is getting really interesting. Frequencies are everywhere. Your intentions and positive things that you say have a physical impact on the body. And then this is where it gets really fun, is we figured out a way to harness those positive intentions and those positive frequencies and apply them to a patch. And not only do we do that, but we include 40 Bible verses onto these patches. So we harness the really good information that's going to help people, and we put them on these patches that when they connect to the energy system in their body, it starts helping with certain problems. For example, pain is our marquee product. So we have a skin patch with quantum energy that you apply to your body, connects to the energy system in your body, and it has these positive frequencies, these positive intentions, and it starts relieving your pain. So it's just, and it's all natural. Nothing goes inside your body. So it's just really incredible technology that we're so excited, and that's my mission in life, is just get this out to the world so that we can start reducing people's dependency, right, on these opioid drugs. And if they can just start reducing their medication, right, just reduce it and have something that's natural where they don't have to take as much, then we're making progress, right? And then start getting people to understand that these pharmaceutical drugs that they're taking are really not healthy. So let's start at the core, right? Let's heal your gut, right? And then once we heal your gut, then your body can start working the way it's supposed to work. And then when it starts working the way it's supposed to work, guess what? You can start healing. And so I have the 3 B's of transformation I talk about. It's right. The really the basic balancing of your system. It starts with the core, is the B, the balancing, and these quantum energy technology helps balance your body out. And then the second one is belief, having that positive belief and that positive intention that I am going to get better, I can get healthy. And then we work on the body, right? The third one, which is let's get you the right nutrition, let's reduce your inflammation naturally, let's get your body in shape, let's make sure you drink the right water intake, make sure you ground on God's earth. There's things that you can do that are not super expensive, that you can really start treating your body the way it's supposed to be, and you can transform from being addicted to big pharma medication to reducing your big pharma medication, to then hopefully we can get people to where they can stop taking some of those medications and just get off of this cycle. I think one of the things that I researched, I don't think, but one of the things I found out through my research is that the average senior is on 15 different prescription medications over a year period right now. It's like, that's horrible, right? Because guess what? You go to a specialist for your heart. They give you medication for the heart. And then over time, that's why they have at the end of those commercials, they say the 25 different side effects it has, because it has a side effect and then it causes something else. And then, oh geez, you go to the next doctor who helps you fix that that specialist helps you fix that problem, gives you another pill. Now you're on 2, and those 2 interact and they cause a third problem, and then you take another. It's just a cycle that is when you sit back and look at what's going on, it's very evident that this is happening. So we need to fix it. We need to get people off of those big pharma drugs. We need to get people healthy, and we want to use all natural solutions like our quantum energy, pain relief product is a great start where people could start using something naturally, reduce their intake of medication, and then we can start treating people holistically and the way God made us.
I love that. So for the quantum energy piece, I looked that up because I heard the term before, but I couldn't really define it. So the best thing I discovered was it says this energy stored in mass particle form inside the body. So you're basically unlocking the energy that's already stored in the body as you're using the body to heal itself.
Yeah, so it's really cool. So literally these little skin patches. So I'll just show an example of one. Here's this little skin patch. This is our weight loss one, and you take these little, and on the patch itself. So this is little things about the size of a nickel. But on the patch itself, we spray this crystalline structure on top of it. Now, those little crystals can hold information. So they can hold a frequency. They can hold the digital signature of the intention. They can hold the digital signature of the Bible verses. So, literally similar to how a computer chip can hold ones and zeros and hold information, that's similar to what these little crystal structures do on these patches. And so when you apply this patch, I just always put it on the back of my neck just because it's simple, out of the way, and goes underneath my collar. And once you apply it within 5 seconds, we've shown through EEG technology, the thing, like these little devices that can measure your brain waves, we can see within 5 seconds it connects to the energy system in your body. And when you're in pain, for example, your brain waves are going like this, because it's like, hey, hello, I've got a problem, I'm hurting. And it's really distracting to you as a person, because it's like when you're in pain, it's frustrating because your body is telling you you're in pain, and you are in pain, and it just seems like you're always thinking about pain. So you're in stress, and once you apply the patch, you'll see it starts to your brainwaves start to level out, because it's interrupting that signal from your pain. Your pain, let's say your pain in your elbow, right, to your brain. That patch is interrupting that signal. So then your brain doesn't realize that it's in pain, and it starts smoothing out. And then you're in that, what I call that balance stage, right, where you're balancing your body to where you can start healing with our help. So we're helping you get into balance, and then when you're without pain, then your body can start healing, much better. So yeah, that's the non-scientific explanation of how this quantum energy stuff works. Does that make sense?
It does make sense.
So
Wow, that's really exciting.
it's
So
fascinating. It really
it
is.
is fascinating, and I'm glad we had this conversation, because a lot of people are worried about their health and they're trying to get themselves healthy. And
Right.
like you said, you start taking one thing, and then of course it creates a whole bunch of other things. And those commercials do crack me up. It's like, take this for this, and by the time they get done with the commercial, you're not quite sure what you had to begin with. And it's
Exactly.
just, if the solution is better than the side effects. But
It's so true. I mean, they literally spend 5 minutes on the little, and they talk really fast, and you can barely hear what they're
right.
saying. It's like, holy smokes! Are you sure you want to take that thing?
Right. I start out with diarrhea and I'm suicidal. So
Yeah, exactly, exactly. Which is more important, right?
which
Yeah,
is
come
more
on,
important, right?
right.
So give us your website and tell people how they can find out more about your company and connect with what you're doing.
I appreciate it. Yeah, it's fun. It's a simple website. It's QE as in quantum energy. So QE strong, like STRONG. So QESTRONG.com. And again, pain relief is our marquee product, but we have 14 different solutions. We have a solution for allergy relief. We have a solution for neuropathy. You saw me. I put the weight loss one. I'm actually starting my keto diet again. I've gained a few pounds, and I want to lose those again. So our weight loss product works super well. Just helps you reduce your appetite. But those different products are on that website. And one of the things I want to tell people is we'll give you a discount if you use the coupon code, which is the Bridge Builders, right? So thank you for having me on your episode. And if people use the Bridge Builders coupon code when they check out, you'll save 15%. So then the way you can save a little bit of money and try out these solutions, and then just share it with people, right? It's helping people and do it. It's relatively inexpensive. You can get a month supply for about $50, and if you buy in bulk, you can get it way down from that. So it's just a great way to stop taking these big pharma drugs, or at least reduce them, right? I'm not going to recommend anybody not take their medication they've been told to take, but at the same point, just want to, if you can reduce it, great, right? And they do it with natural things that there's no side effects, it doesn't interact with any other drugs, because there are no drugs. It's just all healthy frequencies that God made, right? And this isn't woo-woo weird new age stuff. This is just God-given frequencies that we're harnessing, and we're leveraging to help the human body be better.
That. Rob, I want to ask you this before we kind of wrap things up for today. I like to ask my guests this question.
Okay.
What do
I'm
you want
excited.
your legacy to be?
Gosh, I think it's the legacy is that I had the heart to help people, right? I want to have the heart to help people from a faith-based perspective. I want to bring people to Christ. At the end of the day, I literally want to stand in front of the Lord and have Him say, "Well done, good and faithful soldier." That to me that's my driving force, and so I'm working really hard to build a legacy that people look back and say he really had a heart to help. And if I have done that, and if the Lord says, "Well done, good and faithful soldier," then nothing else matters to me.
That's cool. So once again, where can people find your website? And give them that QR code again, so if those want to access it, they can have access to it. So we're just really thankful that we can get people My listeners are a very informed audience and they love to learn new things and find new ways to stay healthy. Because, like we talked about at the beginning of before we got on, our goal is always to be there for our kids and our grandkids. And if we
Yeah.
can find ways to do that, that's one of the things we could do because we can be much more blessing in God's kingdom once we're healthy and able to carry out the call that God's called us to do.
Amen. Amen. That's what's so exciting to me is just to listen to the stories of our customers, right? The people that have been in pain for so long that's so debilitating they can't even get up out of the bed, let alone go play with their grandchildren, right? Or take their dog for a walk or go visit their neighbor, right? They just feel too bad. And if we can get them to the point where, hey, okay, my pain is as an 8, now it's down to a 2, where I can go do those things. I can enjoy playing with my grandchildren at the park. I can play ball with them. I can do those things that we as human beings, that fulfills our life, right? And when you are stuck, you're stuck and you're depressed and it's frustrating. So we're going to treat people out as a whole, right? Get them out there and get them living life the way God intended them to live life and stop being stuck. So get unstuck.
Exactly. Well, Rob, thanks so much for having you on the podcast. Really appreciate your passion and obviously your energy for this. It's
Yeah.
exciting and invigorating because we want to live healthy, quality lives, especially as we get toward the end of that life. So
That's
we
right.
can
I
live up
forgot
to
to
our full
mention the
potential.
coupon code again.
Yeah, do
So
that again.
I think that's important because I want to save people money, right? So use that when they go to qestrong.com. And if you look at any of our products, when you check out, use that coupon code of Bridge Builders with an S, Bridge Builders. And you can use a space or not a space. We'll create the coupon for both of those. But then when you check out, it's going to save you 15% over and above all the other discounts that are on the site. So you use that when you check out. And it's going to be a blessing for you. So
And we do love saving money
yes, we do. And being healthy, right? How can you
and
ask
being
for
healthy.
more?
That's right. Thank you so much, Rob.
Yeah, God bless you.